I gotta speed this up because again, we lost 15 minutes. So, okay, Taft's presidency sucks. Okay, Roosevelt tries to get Taft booted for the Republican ticket. Taft doesn't get booted. As a result, Roosevelt and the Progressives walk out of the Republican Party. They create their own party, the Progressive Party, and then in the election of 1912, with the Republican vote split, the Democrats nominate their own version of a progressive, a somewhat more conservative progressive, Woodrow Wilson. Wilson gets elected. For the money Republicans, it is a humiliating loss because actually not only does the things happen, but guess what occurs? It's the only time in history where the Democrats and Republicans are in the same race for the president. The Republicans come in third. Teddy Roosevelt gets second place. That's, again, one of those ironic moments. But Wilson ends up getting the presidency. Now, that being said, let's turn our attentions to foreign policy because that's really what I wanted to talk about today. When we talk about foreign policy, we already know some of the limitations. We said that the world is still governed by the idea of this Monroe Doctrine, right, where that we're not going to be involved in European affairs, that it's only our Latin American sphere and then the Pacific Rim. We second of all said that we're being destined by these ideas, this sort of racial manifest destiny that makes suggestions about some of these things, such as, but not limited to, the idea of the civilized and uncivilized nations being those that industrialized, the uncivilized ones being those that hadn't industrialized. Now, Roosevelt buys into this idea of civilized versus uncivilized, but he's a little bit more nuanced. He says, okay, look, this isn't white man's burden. We're not just going in there because we want to help these people, okay? Uncivilized, quote-unquote, nations are ones that produce raw materials. And guess what? We want those raw materials, okay? We need them. There's a symbiotic need between civilized and uncivilized countries using those terms. However, Roosevelt still saw that there was a right for so-called civilized countries to take over uncivilized countries, and that still the civilized country would still be kind of like the parent in the relationship, would still have kind of control. But at least he kind of recognized that there was, I mean, the real reason was about the resources, okay? There was a real reason there. So those things, all true, okay? Were you good with that? That all makes sense so far, okay? Now, how do we get the rest of the pieces to fall into place, okay? How do we get the rest of this to make sense? We know that Roosevelt's methods were the speak softly and carry the big stick. But what was his goal within this framework? What was his goal in foreign policy? Primarily stability. Okay, stability is the key word for Roosevelt. The idea being that as long as the world is not upended in all sorts of wars and unpleasantries and all that, his policies are to inculcate stability. This happens particularly in China. I said keep your eye on Manchuria. That's where things would get ugly. Remember in 1900 we said that kind of the open door notes finally got kind of agreed to. People after the Boxer Rebellion said we'll play nice. Well, that lasts for 4 years, okay? And then once again, there's upset. The Japanese attack the Russians outside of Manchuria and start a fight over Manchuria that will become the Japanese-Russian War, okay? That's in 1904. And again, we want stability, so do we want China, Russia, and Japan destabilized by war? No. So Roosevelt wants that to stop. So he tries to negotiate to get the war to stop. The problem is, no sooner does he go to negotiate than America gets caught in this huge, dumbass idea that we would refer to as the yellow peril, okay? Now, what's the yellow peril? What does this mean? Yeah?
When they were intimidated by the Asians that were coming into the country and taking all the shots.
Yeah, here's this idea that suddenly that Asians are the evil, okay? As you know, every minority group that's come over and taken the crappiest jobs clearly is destroying America. You know, and whatever group that happens to be that's on the bottom of the totem pole, and I don't care who you are, black, Irish, Italian, Asian, gay, Catholic, Mormon, whoever's on the bottom of the totem pole at the time, you suck and should die, okay? Or get the fuck out of our country because clearly, and go back to wherever you belong, okay? This kind of behavior pattern where we target the most recent group that's on the bottom is nothing new. And the anti-Asian sentiment, which manifests itself, first of all, as anti-Chinese sentiment, because most of the Asians coming over are Chinese. Later, we will also be anti-Japanese. Don't worry, we like to share. But nonetheless, there's all sorts of anti-Chinese sentiment. Amongst those sentiments would be expressed in such laws such as the Chinese Exclusion Act, which is the only act of immigration that specifically names a racial group as sucking badly. Okay. Later, we will actually find more creative ways to say your racial group sucks without naming you. Okay. But this is the most blatant of the racist kinds of laws that say you suck, get out. Okay. And well, actually, it wasn't just get out; it's no more can come over. That was the Chinese Exclusion Act. The Chinese were discriminated, and Asians were discriminated against in other kind of ways in the United States. We will hear you think of in this yellow peril is this hyped up idea that somehow the Chinese in particular are going to destroy us with all of their ancient Chinese secrets and amazing laundry tricks and tasty foods. Okay, that there's this all the evil Asian things that are going on. Here in California, which we normally think of as kind of liberal and open-minded, actually we will pass laws where you cannot have whites and Asian marrying together because it will mix the bloods, and it's ungodly and unbiblical because, as we know, God hates people of multiple races. He hates anybody but white people being only white, and that's what the Bible says, as we all know, because it was written by white people. In the original English. But nonetheless, there it was. It was okay. So we did it, and in fact, in San Francisco, they actually had decided, and San Francisco is liberal as it gets, right? But San Francisco actually was about to pass a law, or was actually about to segregate their school district. Whites versus Asians, because we know that if Asians were in the school, it would destroy the schools because Asians suck at school, which was also going to be there. Now, if you're trying to negotiate with the Japanese emperor and all this shit is going on at home, is that going to endear you to the Japanese emperor when all this racist crap is going on? Probably not, okay? And so, Roosevelt is so pissed off by this, he actually sends the Secretary of State to the school board meeting and tells them to knock it the fuck off, okay? Imagine if we here at Palomar were having some, like, say, the anti-smoking debate or whatever is the most recent hoo-ha that we're having, and they go to a board meeting and Hillary Clinton popped by, that would probably make an impression, or Condoleezza Rice, if we want to go over. Actually, I always imagined Hillary Clinton and Condoleezza Rice as being like a Thelma and Louise kind of team. I have this idea of a movie with both of them with guns, and Madeleine Albright is kind of like their M, sending them out on secret missions. Never mind, I have sort of a warped mind. Anyway, James Bond, Thelma and Louise, they all kind of swirl together, action film. But anyway, what the hell? Anyway, sorry, that started like 3 classes ago, and the metaphor keeps on expanding, And I actually, in my mind, I'm scripting moments with, like Hillary giving an objection to the law, and Condoleezza playing the music in the background, and all that. Anyway, never mind. Sorry, my brain gets sad. Anyway, so the point is that because of all this, you don't know that Hillary Boyer and Condoleezza accomplished pianist, right? Anyway, more, Okay, anyway, so as a result of this, he does negotiate with the Japanese emperor, and by 1905, he manages to get a peace treaty signed, and indeed is given the Nobel Peace Prize. He's the first U.S. president to receive a Nobel Peace Prize for this. Now, how did Roosevelt get them to do it? Well, this is the whole speak softly to carry big stick philosophy. What he said to the Japanese emperor was this: look, we know that you are probably going to win this war. You all seem to have the better ships, the better technology. I know the words Japanese and technology together are alien to us. But we think we'll probably win. But the problem is, the Russians fight wars in one particular way. They have something that they have lots of that they throw at you if you try and fight a war with them. And what is that?
Bad weather.
Huh?
Bad weather.
Well, no, they just enjoy that when you invade them. Yes. No, but guess though. People. Russians, there's just a shitload of them. okay? They have a lot of peasants, and they